All right, here we are with assignment two and like another collection of questions. And I guess I should start off by saying that when I did this, you know, for class, I actually kind of misunderstood. There was 8 questions, and I kind of misunderstood the last one and made a small web app before I even like knew how to do it properly. And it was horrible to set up because don't remember to set it up, and it just wasn't very good because I basically didn't know what I was doing and didn't have the proper knowledge. So it's just not in here just because it was I probably wouldn't be able to get it up and running. I've made web apps after that, with the knowledge that I need, but back then, we didn't even start talking about them, so that was kind of a disaster, I would say. But anyway, I just wanted to start off with that. But see, there are 7 other questions aside from that, and more JavaScript stuff. So this one is pretty simple. It's just like an update function to get element by ID. I've done a lot more since then with this kind of stuff, but have to start somewhere. So have it open here and see. All it does is update that text. So that's the first of 7. Then 2. Let's see here. So I close that. So this is an email one, and I think, yeah, I use regex so it looks like a proper email format. So if I do this, and let's put in a fake email, or not a fake email, but one that won't work. See, and then actually I think that's the built-in one. So, but still, yeah, that was the built-in one. But then if I do that, it should, yeah, there. So pretty simple stuff, but that was the first time I ever used a regex, and I've used them a lot since then. So it is an important thing to learn. This is a console one. I kind of meant to open it, but force of habit opened it up here. So it's just a data. I think this is from a website with JSON data in it. So let's take a look there. Yeah, nothing really going on there. And then, yeah, I guess from this placeholder website, your classic fetch, then catch. No finally on this one, but still. I think, yeah, this was the first time doing these fetch statements as well, which I've also used since. And actually, I use fetch to, I'll show it in one of my personal websites, but I use it to fetch stuff or fetch uh, HTML elements from my own website to basically use them as components to have them be reusable. Like I said, that's on a personal website. I'll show that at some point. This one, I will show it, but you'll see. See, this is API, and this one has a key. I don't really care about it too much, so I don't really care about showing the key, but that's not something normally you should be doing. And this is probably the one that I had most trouble with, aside from that one that's not in here that I mentioned, because uh, the way this one works, you can get certain information for free, but then you have to pay to get like more advanced information. I was trying to use some of that more advanced information, and it wasn't working because of that. So that was a kind of a problem that I faced. And it wasn't really mentioned in the documentation. So I guess that's the importance of good documentation as well. So let's open it up. This is probably the most cool one because look, that's from when I was testing before Cape Canaveral. And then boom, you can get the weather. Uh, just a short description, humidity, and yeah, it's pretty neat. It's a very simple but pretty neat. First time working with APIs, there's a lot of firsts in here. It's just pretty cool stuff. This is the Axios library. Yeah, I think it's just a more you get it as it's very similar to the built-in, but there's some differences. So I'll just show it. So before I saw it was an array, here's an array again. There is some I mentioned there is some differences, but personally I wouldn't use Axios if you're doing something like this, just because it's an external library that you can do the same thing without an external library. So if you can avoid them and it doesn't make things really easier, then probably shouldn't use them, just because they could go down or whatever. Then this does back to simplicity. No, just it's a jQuery, so it's still like different, but this is just something you could do with Java, like not jQuery, but it is using it just to, I'll show you. It's kind of the same with the change text, that change the actual text content, this time with color instead, and just basically a different way to do it. And, gotta show there's different ways. And this is another one. This is parsing. So yeah, this is obviously if you have this data in your JavaScript, you probably wouldn't have it like this hard coded. Or if you did have it hard coded, you wouldn't, you know, do it like this and then parse it. You would just have it in the format you want. But this is just, it's a sample or an example of how to parse this type of data. So if I open this, I don't have to do anything other than just look. See, the data has been parsed in a very, what's the word? In a more readable way than JSON data in the console, just as is. So I think that's all for this one. It was definitely more learning than fun, but there was some fun stuff to it. Like I really like using the API key, even or just the API in general, even if I had some issues with it at the start. But good stepping stone. I enjoyed it. I just didn't have. I learned more than I had fun, and that's I guess, kind of that which makes this kind of an outlier in terms of website development. It's not this is JavaScript, not specifically, I guess, word for word website development, but still in that world, obviously. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say for this one. So see you next time.